I went back and forth for a long time about whether I should talk about this at all. Part of me wanted to pretend it never happened, but another part of me knew that if I didn't put it somewhere, if I didn't say it out loud, it would just keep looping in my head. This happened during my sophomore year at a university in the northeastern US. I won't say which one. I was an English major, and school mattered to me more than most things back then. I had plans for law school. My GPA was always on my mind. Everything I did felt like it counted. That semester, I enrolled in an upper-level class on romantic literature. It was a small class, maybe 24 students, mostly juniors and seniors. The professor gave the lectures, but the discussions were handled by our teaching assistant. Everyone called him Roar. I never knew if that was his first name or last name. That was just what he answered to. Roar was in his late 20s, thin, awkward in a way that didn't feel natural, more like something he leaned into. Participation in that class was painful, long silences, everyone staring at their notes. Roar hated it. When the room went quiet, he'd start calling on people at random, which usually made things worse. There was one student who always broke the tension. His name was Luke. He was confident without being loud, funny without trying too hard. He actually did the reading, which already set him apart. When he spoke, it felt easy, like he belonged there. I remember thinking he was smart, maybe a little goofy, but harmless. Because participation affected our grades, I spoke up a lot too. Most days, discussion was carried by me, Luke, and a couple of others. Roar noticed. He responded to my comments more than anyone else's. Sometimes he'd repeat my point back to the class. Sometimes he'd look at me while I spoke and keep looking even after I finished. I told myself I was imagining it. Teaching assistants favor students all the time. After my first paper, I got it back covered in long margin notes. Not corrections, praise, agreement, encouragement. He wrote more on my paper than anyone else's. That's when his attention started to feel different. He asked questions after class that had nothing to do with the material, held eye contact too long. Once, when I was packing up, I felt him watching me instead of the room. I brushed it off. I didn't want to overthink it. Around the same time, Luke and I started spending time together outside of class. Our sorority and his fraternity overlapped constantly. Same parties, same events, same late nights. Eventually, he asked me out to dinner. I said yes. We dated casually, nothing intense. It felt easy, comfortable, safe. One afternoon after class, I saw Luke outside the building smoking with Roar. They were laughing like they'd known each other for years. It struck me as strange, but Luke later joked that he was just trying to stay on the TA's good side for grades. I laughed with him. I wish I hadn't. A few weeks later, I looked through Luke's phone while he was asleep. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I don't even remember why I picked it up, but what I found made my stomach drop. There were dozens of photos of me. Some were normal, some were intimate, and some, I knew this instantly, I had never taken. I didn't sleep that night. A week later, I found the messages. The photos were being sent to someone else. The number belonged to Roar. Everything unraveled fast after that. Police got involved. Luke confessed almost immediately. He'd been paid. Luke was expelled. Roar was fired. People told me I was brave, that it was over. I believed them. That was over a year and a half ago. I'm a senior now, and I'm almost done with school. I'm kind of relieved about that, to be honest. I've dealt with things in my own way, and I won't get into that, but I thought everything was behind me. A few weeks ago, though, I started noticing something. There's this silver sedan that's been parked outside my sorority late at night. Not every night, but enough that I've started paying attention. I haven't seen anyone get in or out of it. I don't know if it's one of them. I'm probably being paranoid, but it's really freaking me out. And honestly, I'm not sure how they'd even know I live here now. I moved into the house well after the Luke situation. Anyway, if anything else happens, I'll update. This happened about 2 weeks ago, and I still don't feel right talking about it. But keeping it to myself has been worse. My name's Mike. Most people call me Mikey. I'm 22 and still living with my parents in a rural part of Northern California. Not the postcard version. Where we live, it snows. Roads disappear into forest. The nearest neighbor is far enough away that if something went wrong, no one would hear it. My parents went out of the country for a weekend wedding. Portugal, I think. I stayed behind. I liked the idea of having the house to myself. The house is simple. 1 floor, 3 bedrooms and a straight hallway. My parents' room at one end, mine at the other. A guest room in between that mostly holds junk. The living room sits in the middle and the front door opens straight into it. That matters later. The first night alone was normal. I stayed up late, went to bed around 2 a.m. and slept hard. The second night was different. I fell asleep quickly, but sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up suddenly. Not from a dream, from that feeling you get when something isn't right. I didn't know the time, but my body was already tense. As my eyes adjusted to the dark, I saw that my closet door was open. That shouldn't have been possible. It's a sliding door that never stays shut unless you close it properly. I always close it before bed. Every night. I've done that since I was a kid. My heart started pounding. I reached for my phone and turned on the flashlight. I screamed. There were 2 people standing at the foot of my bed. The moment the light hit them, they split apart, moving fast, and disappeared in opposite directions. I barely registered what they looked like, just shapes. Human shapes. I heard something metal hit the floor. I froze. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Then I heard footsteps running down the hallway and the front door slam. When I finally forced myself out of bed, the house was silent. I locked myself in my room and called the police. When I turned the lights on, I saw what had fallen to the floor. It was one of my mom's kitchen knives. The police arrived about 20 minutes later. They searched the house and the property. No signs of forced entry. No broken windows. Everything was locked, except the front door. They suggested I might have forgotten to lock it. I know I didn't. 2 weeks later, I still don't understand why anyone would stand over someone while they slept, with a knife, if all they wanted was to steal something.
My name's Natasha. This started a few months ago, right after I moved into my first apartment alone. I was 23, fresh out of a breakup and desperate for my own space. I found a 1-bedroom on the 2nd floor of a mid-sized apartment complex in Ohio. Nothing fancy. Parking lot view, trees beyond that. It was quiet, and that was all I wanted. The first few weeks felt normal. I worked from home, went to the gym, kept to myself. I barely knew my neighbors, an older woman downstairs, a couple across the hall who argued sometimes. Then, I noticed him. The first time was on the stairs. Average-looking guy, gray hoodie, late 30s maybe. We did that awkward sidestep and squeezed past each other. No big deal. A few days later, I saw him near the dumpsters, just standing there, not throwing anything away. When I looked over, he walked off. The time that really stuck with me was one afternoon while I was working. I glanced out my window and saw a dark blue sedan parked in the lot. Someone was sitting inside, looking up toward my building, maybe toward my window. 10 minutes later, the car was gone. After that, I started noticing him more. In the parking lot, near the stairs, sitting in his car, never approaching me, never speaking, just there. I tried to tell myself it meant nothing. Then I saw him at a Chipotle about 15 minutes from my apartment, not somewhere you end up by accident. He sat across the restaurant, eating, glancing up just enough for me to notice. When I left, he started packing up too. That night, I called the police after seeing his car outside again. They listened, took notes, told me there was nothing illegal happening. After that, I started changing how I lived. Lights on at night, blinds closed, door locked twice. I stopped sleeping in my bedroom and moved to the couch. A week later, I found a note slipped under my door. "You should really close your blinds at night." I moved out 2 weeks later, paid the fee, didn't care. A month after that, I saw the same blue sedan parked 2 blocks from my parents' house. I haven't seen it since, but I don't feel like it's over.